Meta ads changed completely in the last 6 months. After managing $100 million in ad spend just last year, I'm gonna show you the exact process that we used to scale a client from stock to $1 million a month in ad spend on Meta profitably. And in this video, I'll show you the exact process we used step by step. What we noticed with clients spending more than $20K a month or even more than $100K a month is that when growth is slowing and they are not scaling, it's usually not a media buying problem. It's more of a creative system problem. So managing more than $100 million in ad spend, we always see one pattern that keeps repeating. The brands at scale don't just test some ads, they run a creative system. So in this video, I'll break down where these clients started, the exact creative system that we implemented, and what helped us to scale. So this is just some proof. We managed in December $12 million in ad spend, and last year, as you can see here, $107 million. And these are the results for this client. We've been able to scale from about $70K a month in ad spend to $1 million in ad spend last year. And before we started, our client was spending about $75,000 a month. And after the initial audit, we realized one thing: they needed more ads. And I'll start first with a general intro on how to create a testing system, and then I'll show you exactly what we did for this client. The first thing we did, and we often do for clients, is matching the goals with the inputs. What should we do to make sure we get to this goal? And in this case, the goal was scaling to $1 million a month in ad spend on Meta profitably. And then we had an efficiency goal, obviously. So for an e-commerce brand, an efficiency goal can be a certain target for the new customer ROAS, or for the contribution margin, or even for the CPA, the CAC. In this case, we had a certain CPA goal. Then the inputs. So we tracked the inputs that we wanted to do to get to this result. And in this case, we said we want to test at least 100 ads a month, at least 4 landing pages every month. We want to do some pricing tests and some LTV tests. And this is what we control, the volume. It's the most important part. And then obviously we have the quality. But first of all, we need to track these inputs. As we increase the ads, we noticed a pattern. Focusing on just more ads wasn't enough. We changed the process from how to create more ads to how to create more winning ads, and how to put more effort on the angles, the formats, the creative system behind it. Obviously, we were not creating ads before just for the sake of it, just to create ads. We were always trying to get winning ads. But we decided to put much more focus on that and on the overall strategy, because that has a huge impact. So when we talk about ads and finding winning ads, we have 2 important variables. One is the win rate. How many of the ads we created became top spenders? What's the percentage? And then how many unique concepts are we creating? Because if your real winner, your last real winner is from 3 months ago, it doesn't really matter if you test 50 new ads this week, because your win rate is broken. Then also for creative volume is very different now from what it was in the past. Now, iterations go to the same audience and don't really help you to scale. Yes, you can convert slightly better that audience, but you are not reaching a bigger audience. So it's not that incremental. When you try to maximize your creative volume, you have to try to create different entity IDs. So ads that Meta sees as different. And otherwise, what happens is something like this, where you have a lot of ads with the same entity ID, but are all considered just one concept from Meta. What you want to do is something like this, where each ad is a different entity ID and is pushed to a different audience. So when you create ads, you have 2 main things, right? Create more ads at the beginning, and then you see the win rate starts to decrease, and then you want to fix the win rate. And then again, you create more ads. So it's a cycle. Let's go back on how we scale this client. I'll start with the research. Obviously, it's very, very important. And there are 3 main parts for the research. So one is the winning creatives in the ad account. The other is the competitors and the videos that we saw going viral on organic. And then the customers and buyer personas. Let's start from the analysis in the ad account. One of our quick wins in many accounts is taking the top spenders and then try them again with different formats. Because we may have a very good angle there, and we might just find another format that communicates that angle even better. So in the account, what we saw is that we had many statics, we had some old UGC ads, face-to-camera problem solution type of UGC ads, AI voiceovers, and the main problem was they didn't have enough ads, they didn't have enough creative diversity, and they didn't have a really structured creative process. Then the other important piece is the competitor search. So first, we looked at the main competitors, the amount of active ads they had. The more ads they have active and the more ads they are pushing, they're testing, the more it's working for them because they are investing a lot of money on creating these ads, obviously. Then the formats they are testing, the landing pages, and then once we see which ones are the main competitors and the general overview, then we look at the specific creatives. We want to look at the longest running ads and the new active ads. I see many people looking at just the longest running ads and they say, if they run them for 1 year, for 3 years, it's definitely crushing it. Not really, like sometimes they just spend $5 a day, $5 a week, and they're active in the campaign. What you want to do, and what I think is more efficient, and actually now you can even like sort by impressions in the ad library. You even have more data, but something that works very well is to see what's in common between the longest running ads and the new active ads, the new ads they are launching. Because if you see patterns that they have in common, it means that those things are working and they are testing them again. And so you want to try these variables also in your ads. We do this, we find some competitors. In this case, for our client, we saw Jasper AI, Copy AI, Sintra, Canva, and we see how many ads per month and what angles do they use in their ads and landing pages. Then we look at the specific ads and we see what angles they use, what formats, what are the buyer personas that they target. Then we try to break down everything in a way like this with main angles, formats, personas. We actually do it in Notion, so it looks a bit more like this. And then we want to look at the customers and buyer personas. So that's what we did. We went through all social medias, Google, and any place where the target customers are spending time. Before that was manual or with a bit of ChatGPT. Now you can use custom GPTs, you can use agents to go through all of these, and it's becoming very, very efficient, and you can get a lot of insights from this. So you can see on YouTube, you can see videos about AI tools in this case, about the specific product or business you're advertising for, so the category, or you can see even like people talking about the specific product and the comments on these videos. Another very important thing is the reviews. We want to basically look at the reviews for your business and also from competitors, because we may find something that people hate about competitors and they love about your business. So, for example, for an e-commerce brand, we want to see the Trustpilot reviews, Amazon reviews, or what you have on the product page. Or for a SaaS, similarly, we want to see the reviews and the testimonials that people leave, what they say on Reddit, on Quora. Something very important we want to look at is the specificity. So basically, the real life situations that these people are highlighting in the reviews, and then the frequency. What's more common that customers put emphasis on. Here, for example, we found several insights. As this is an AI tool to create content, it's a SaaS, a lot of people are saying, I also pay for ChatGPT, I use ChatGPT and I have some issues when I create content. It's not as good as I want it to be. Or I need something to streamline my process. Or I need a tool that is actually able to do the job of this person, so I don't have to hire another marketing person. And we can get a lot of objections and pain points from the content from social media. And a lot of people in this case were saying, I don't find an AI tool that is able to understand my brand's voice. And so that's something that we actually use a lot in the ads. So also when you search on Google, in this case, best AI tools to create social media posts. And you are gonna see like the Google Ads results here. You're gonna see the common questions, the AI summary, the organic results. So a lot of material that you can use here. Then very, very interesting is TikTok. So TikTok is really a goldmine of ideas in terms of angles and in terms of formats. So even in this case, what we found was that one format, one video that was viral on TikTok was a podcast format. We took some angle ideas and some format ideas, and when we tested in the podcast format, in the ads, they actually worked very, very well. So we always look at TikTok to find insights. Now let's see the creative strategy. So how can we make sure that we are creating concepts that are winners and also they are diverse, they are different type of concepts, so they reach a bigger audience and they can actually help us to scale with incremental results, not just 5% better. So we do that with a creative strategy map. First, we find the main buyer personas. In this case, we found 5 main buyer personas. One is marketing agencies, the other is D2C brands, then startups, service businesses, and life coaches. And we decided to focus on these ones. Then what we want to do is to map the awareness levels for each buyer persona. In this case, what we saw is that our client had too many product aware ads, some solution aware ads, but as we want to scale and reach a much bigger audience, what we need to do is to move more here. We need to move more to at least solution-aware ads, but then problem-aware ads and even unaware ads, because that's how we're gonna reach a much bigger audience. Then we add specific angles for each buyer persona and awareness level. Let's say in this case, we have marketing agencies as the first buyer persona. We have all these awareness levels, and then we can start to list down some angles. For example, unaware, why must agencies burn hours repurposing content manually? Problem-aware ads, is the content you're creating for clients taking 3 times longer than it should? Then you have solution-aware ads, where basically you're saying this is better in ChatGPT, and product-aware ads, where you're explaining a bit better what the product actually does and a few more benefits, because they already know what it does, but they just need a bit more of convincing. Sometimes it can even be some testimonials or some social proof. And the most aware ads, it's basically just giving them a reason to buy right now, so even a discount. Then we end up with some angles that we want to prioritize. And you have something like this, for example, with main pain point, I can create content and the benefit, like the angle is create content that helps you stand out, and or I'm wasting time creating content. So now we are communicating with the angle of saving time, and same for all these other ones. Then we do this for all the other 4 buyer personas too. So D2C brands here, service businesses, startups, life coaches. And then what we want to also add is the format that we're gonna use to communicate a specific angle. So in this case, we can say, okay, for this angle, for this buyer persona, awareness level, angle, then when I create a concept with all of these, I think a podcast ad would be the best format, or a spokesperson, a video sales letter, a straight interview, or a skit conversation. And now we have our creative strategy map. This is very, very important to test angles and formats, and to help us to add creative diversity so we reach a bigger audience, and also especially to improve the win rate and get more winning ads. So we have something like this with the main buyer personas, one main pain point or reason to buy for each one, and a list of awareness levels and angles for each one. Then you see here, for some of these, we are gonna add a star, because these are the ones that we want to prioritize. Then we also have, from our research, all the selling blocks that we are gonna use when we write the scripts. The selling blocks are basically how we organize the research for writing the scripts. So you see here, you can start to list down all the pain points or the benefits, desired outcomes, all these things, and that's gonna be very helpful. Basically, when you create a new concept, a new ad, what you want to think about is who's the buyer persona and the main reason why they are buying, what's the awareness level, what's the angle, what's the format I'm gonna use, the creator and actor that is gonna communicate this, and then I'm gonna write the script, basically. Then another important thing is the production. So a lot of times people are thinking, why when I test 2 ads, I have the same angle, why one scales and the other doesn't? And the secret is in how we create these ads. So the problem with a lot of businesses now is that most of them are using old type of UGC ads, face to camera, problem solution, like talking about the problem and the solution. It's very easy to understand that it's an ad, and people are less sensitized to them, and as they know their ads, they don't convert. In this case, also, both our client and competitor ads, except some exception, had ads that looked like ads. And so that's why we actually focus a lot on how can we communicate a specific angle with a format that, at least in the first seconds, doesn't look like an ad. So you start to watch it. You may understand it's an ad after a little bit, but we want to blend it into the feed, at least for the first seconds. And when you see a lot of ads, people say things like, I'm obsessed, this is a game changer, and people don't believe these things. That's why they don't work. You need to use some formats that ideally educate people, make people listen and trust. We find that some formats like podcast style ads, straight interviews, educational ads with authority figures, or even POV ads can work very well. There are a couple of reasons why we see this working. Like, one is the conversations. So we see that with a lot of these formats, people have a conversation, so it feels a bit more natural and it's easier to educate people. Also, a lot of these formats have two actors, and that's something that we see also working, because one actor can communicate something and explain something to the other. And also, something that really helps a lot is basically using these selling blocks and implement them in the scripts and making sure we have all these direct response elements, but we try to communicate them in a more organic way. So it's not like an organic video that is not really selling, but it's also not like an ad that you understand from the first second that it's an ad. So now I'll go through also some of the formats and script examples that we use to scale this client, as you can see here, to $1 million a month in ad spend profitably. So this is one of the first winners that helped us scale from $70K a month to $200K a month in ad spend, and also reducing the CPA.
The number one mistake business owners make is not creating content. Here's how to do it right.
Hey man, I saw your content. How the heck did you post 27 times last week? Did you hire an agency or something?
No, it's just AI. It's a lot more convenient. Whoa, what do you use? I mean, this AI tool is like having Superman write your content.
And then here we show a bit more the tool and how to use that, but it's a more organic way to sell.
The number one mistake business owners make
with an ad, basically. In this case, the persona was business owners. The angle was to create more content for your business. This is more for an unaware audience, and the format we are using specifically is a skit conversation. And here you can see the script, and you can see how we break it down. There are actually many more details here, but the main important part is having like all these sentences with the visuals and the main selling blocks that we are using here. These usually follow some of our frameworks, and when we decide to use, for example, the desired outcome here, then we can check in their search what are desired outcomes for our target audience. And we see also skit conversations like these work well because there are two people, and so one can be basically who the customer aspires to be like, the aspiration. And so we can talk about the desire of posting a lot of content fast without something like AI with your brand voice. And then also what we try to do is we don't directly tell you this is a solution. We try to basically handle some objections in the ad and discredit alternatives. For example, why content agency is not really a good solution. What we want to do and what we always try to do is matching the format to the angle. We see that now as this market and just creatives are evolving, people are becoming more expert with this. Many advertisers are actually becoming good at understanding what to communicate. So the angle you have to use. But then it's very difficult for many people to actually execute these ads well and to understand how to communicate these ads, so the format. What we did was to match each customer pain point and angle with a format that makes the message more effective. So you have an angle like this, for example. You want to create a lot of content, but you have no time. Then we say, okay, let's use a podcast format that should work well with this specific angle, with this buyer persona and awareness level, especially like for unaware audiences or even problem-aware audiences. Podcast formats are working very well because they also have this authority in the format. And also we added the common alternative for this specific angle. A lot of people were using Canva as an alternative. And then we created this ad.
Canva. For real, I mean, why are you still using that?
Well, everybody uses it, but it just doesn't capture my client style the way that I need it to.
I'm creating almost all of my clients' content with an...
So then here the actor goes through how he uses this tool, and we have this part that hooks you in, and then basically starts to explain how it works and make you interested if you are in the market for this specific product. And this was one of the top 8 ads in the account. The formats we saw working best in this case were the podcast ad, skilled conversation with 2 creators, skilled conversation with 1 creator playing 2 roles. Actually, there was a straight interview too that worked very well. So I'm gonna show you also a straight interview here that we did. This was for marketing agencies, and the angle was to use Blaze instead of Canva for your clients to keep your brain voice and do it with speed. The awareness level in this case is problem aware, and the format is a straight interview.
Do you still use Canva for content?
I ditched Canva. It costs me way too much. I use this AI tool that matches my client's brand style, which is uploading their business URL.
But can it create content from that?
Yup, it creates up to 70 marketing assets. It automatically learns my client's fonts and colors.
Then the last important part is the analysis. So obviously we want to see which ads work and which don't, so we can double down on what works, but at the same time we don't want to make the mistake of just doing the same type of ads always, because it's important that we experiment, we expand our current audience and buyer personas angles by testing different angles and formats. We basically look at the ads that win, the ads that actually take the most spend with good metrics, and we want to see, obviously, like we look at the metrics like amount spent and then ROAS or CPA, and hook rate, hold rate, CTR, and then we try to understand, okay, what can I improve in this ad, and also what learnings can I take for the next ad. So even if the ad doesn't work, then I can write down some learnings that are gonna be very useful for the next ads that I'm gonna create. These learnings can also help us to update the research. Also, we recommend to focus more on new concepts, but still doing a couple of iterations can be useful, and sometimes it helps you, even though you don't reach a bigger audience, it helps you to convert better the same audience. Something we do too in our agency is to basically track the percentage of ad spend from our ads compared to the ad account, and we want to see what's the percentage of ad spend that goes to our ads, because maybe there is also the internal team or another agency, or maybe like some ads from influencers, and so that allows us to understand how good our ads are. And also we want to see not just that, but also like what's the percentage of ad spend that we are taking from the last batch and from the last 3 months, like from the ads we created in the last 3 months, because we might also see that maybe it's working very well, it's scaling, and we have 90% of the ad spend, but still it's more from ads that are a bit older, and so we have to change something in the process right now to be able to find more winning ads. So this is something we see being very helpful to improve basically the process. This is how we took our client to $1 million a month with this creative system. And what we saw in these videos, basically, to scale, you need more winning ads. And to do that, you need to focus a lot on the angles and on the formats. And that will allow you to convert better the audience that you're already targeting, and also to unlock new audiences. And the system you create has to combine with basically volume, so the quantity of ads, number of ads you do, and then the quality. And also it has to help you to focus a lot on the research, to update the research every month, and to have a very good creative analysis that will help you to improve your winner. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them here. And also, if you have a brand that is spending more than $50K a month, we have a link here in the description. You can book a call. I'll be happy to take a look and see what we can do to help you scale.